Have you ever driven through a brand new subdivision, but all you're seeing right now are vacant lots and think there's really not much to see out here? Well, that's not true. I'm actually going to delve into some items on those vacant lots that will help you understand exactly what those vacant lots are all about. Hi, I'm Dale Frazell, and welcome to my channel. Not all subdivisions are built the same way throughout the country or even from town to town. So there might be a little bit of a variance there, but basically it's all going to achieve the same thing to where you can construct houses on them. In this video, I'm going to be talking about just 5 items that you'll notice on vacant land. Now, when I'm talking about these buildable lots, this is actually in what they call a subdivision that already has the improvements. It has the streets, the curbs, the sidewalks, and the utilities. I am not talking about vacant land. Let's get started. Number 1, the apron. This is the part that actually transitions from the street to the property. Usually it connects the sidewalk to the driveway, the driveway up to the garage. Normally the approach or the apron, depending on what part of the country you're in, that will be the width of the driveway. The interesting part about an apron / approach, whatever you call it in your part of the country, is that it actually allows water that is on your property to now flow to the street. So it has to be perfectly graded. It's been engineered, and that approval for that subdivision, that is a very important part of that apron that now will allow stormwater to go off the property and into the street and along the gutters. So it is actually a very critical part of the home construction overall. Pro tip. Typically the apron, the approach, will be closer to, say, the corner pin itself, the front of the house. So you're standing out in the road, you're looking at that lot, you kind of know that it's almost to the end of the edge of the lot. Well, you look over to the side and there's another apron. Well, that would be the lot adjacent to that lot. So if it's close to yours, that means that house that's going to go next door, their garage will be on that side, and also your garage is on this side. So now you have garage to garage. You keep doing that. If you say you look at another lot and you're not sure how these houses called laid out, on what side the garage is going to be, that apron will tell you every time where the garage and how that house is going to be situated. Number 2, corner pins. Some people might call them property pins, some people might call them lot markers. However, basically what they do is they denote the front corners, 2 corners in the front and 2 corners in the back. Now I'm talking about more of a square type of lot. Now when you start getting into pie shapes and what have you, they will have more lot pins there. But let's just use just a square lot right now for reference. So the land surveyors come out during the construction of the subdivision and they will mark those. Typically what they do is they'll use today they use a piece of rebar about 12 inches long and they'll put a little mushroom cap on it, a yellow cap. It depends on that neighborhood. I've seen it vary. Normally it's behind the sidewalk, closer to going towards the house. That area in front of it, that really doesn't belong to you, but I can talk about that in another video. So now you have 2 pins in the front, left and right, and in the back. Again, we're using a square. So if you know, you can locate them, because this is a new subdivision and a good builder, developer will not let the subs, the excavators or whoever come out there, any utility companies, and destroy those, because it takes a lot of time to lay out a subdivision, and those corner pins are very important. And so now you have 2 in the front, 2 in the back. So if you know you located the one in the front and you were talking about a square lot, you just walk straight back, all the way back, and you will find the same thing. Sometimes they're a pain to find. They could have a little bit of debris on them. But if you follow a straight line back there, now you can get an overall sense on how deep that lot is. And if you go to the side, now you see how big the backyard is. So you can actually walk a vacant lot just by the pins itself and know exactly how big that lot is overall. Pro tip. Now, if you decided on a particular lot, I highly recommend that you take a picture of those corner pins. 2 in the front, 2 in the back. I don't know, use some sort of little reference on the sidewalk, because what's going to happen, you might do landscaping, or those landscapers could come in, put sod down, and they will cover over that. So It's best if you do it in, I call it the raw form right now, so later on you can always go back to it. Especially now if you're thinking about putting a fence in place. It'll save you a lot of grief and a lot of money, because having a land surveyor come back out and restake that, it's usually about $3,000, and it could be even more. So it's just a very inexpensive insurance policy to take pictures of those, even if you want to take a video, but use some sort of reference, and that way later on you can always go back to it. Number 3, electrical box. Basically what that box is, it's a transformer for the electrical power that's going to feed your house. And normally what they do is they split that box on the property line. So you get a little bit of the box, the neighbor adjacent to you gets a little bit of that box. That box then will be a transformer where it reduces the power and goes up to your house. So that is your main power supply. Here's another little pro tip about those electrical boxes. You have to maintain, now I'm not saying this is everybody across the country, but here you have to maintain at least 3 feet back from it. So if you're going to put any kind of landscaping and even fencing. Now I would check with any utility companies before I start to encroach on them, because you don't want to go through all that work only to have them come out and say, well, that's nice, but you have to take it down or move it over. So just remember that. I just want to pause for a moment to let you know that I no longer build homes, nor do I work for builders directly. I sell their homes. I work for buyers. I work for buyers through the entire new construction process from start to finish. Let's continue. Number 4, natural gas line. That's that yellow, it looks like a plastic sleeve sticking up out of the ground. And also you'll notice a little wire coming up connected to it too. That is your gas line. Now don't get alarmed, it's not gas coming out of there. It's basically where the gas line is to be located and eventually tied in. They use that little yellow wire on that pipe, that little conduit, to locate the actual pipe that they're going to tie into. They actually use a low frequency that emits a low frequency, I should say, to locate it. Because you don't want to go out on a property and start digging holes everywhere, because you could be ripping up power, you could be ripping up fiber optics. So that's a good way. So when they're trying to locate it, they just tie into that, and then eventually the gas company comes out, and then they'll dig down, and then they'll tie from that pipe there, down below, to the house, and that's when they set the gas meter. Oh, and by the way, if you found this video to be helpful, please hit that like button. It helps spread this video to other people who can benefit from it. Number 5, fire hydrants. Well, I think we know what they're used for, but let me give you the pros and cons on those. So let's say you have a hydrant that's located close to your property, or maybe even on your property. So you have some benefits there. Your homeowner's insurance might possibly give you a discount. You have to check with your provider on that. Also, it gives you peace of mind too. God forbid that you need it. Now the cons on that. Basically, in a subdivision, it could restrict the parking in front of a fire hydrant. Another thing too, that if that particular subdivision will allow you to park an RV or a boat or any kind of extra along the side of the house, it could actually block you from getting down along the side of that home. You have to check that. Now another thing too is, you know that you're going to be probably a pretty good meeting place for all the dogs in the neighborhood. So, and also too, you have to keep stuff away from it. I believe it's 3 feet away from it. So there's pros and cons to it, but I think I would take the pro any day compared to having to wish you had a fire hydrant close by. God forbid you needed it. Thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something new, and if you did, please subscribe. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one.